Yes, if you know what you're doing, you can, unless you happen to be in the wrong location at the wrong moment, that is. Yes, that is possible. I believe that staying is crucial, thus I think you should. Imagine this, late at night in a smoky tavern in London. As the music fades in the background, Mick Jagger carefully takes a sip from his chair. The identical question has been posed to him countless times. Which singers are your favorites? But something changes tonight. He does not name the typical suspects. He smirks and waits before saying it. Each of the five names is a natural power, and they are all female. For the man who helped define rock and roll swagger, shared studios with superstars, and strutted across stages for 60 years. These were not merely influencing names. They served as warnings, inspirations, and obsessions. Mick Jagger was completely rocked by these five female vocalists. The first voice he spoke about, the one that simultaneously frightened and excited him, Janis Joplin's name. Instead of singing, she exploded. She blew the doors off of a song rather than walking into it. Edit. Janis Joplin was a tangle of alcohol and jeans. Her voice was thunder in a bottle, not simply gravel. In 1969, Jagger saw her live performance at Madison Square Garden. With a bottle in one hand and heartache in the other, she walked out barefoot and with wild hair. Even Keith Richards, who is renowned for never blinking, stood motionless and mute when she struck the chorus of Piece of My Heart. She was fierce. Flame was who she was. She was unabashedly raw, which was what Mick cherished most. She didn't play around with the microphone. She ate it whole. She made anger sound like prayer and agony sound like sex. For Jagger, whose reputation was based on seduction, performance, and risk, Janis wasn't a rival. She was confrontational. The fact that she was free frightened him. Not disobedient. Free. Pure feeling that is out of control. No screenplay, no image. He referred to her as untouchable after that evening. It was because there was no act, not because she was perfect. She couldn't be faked. Additionally, the following woman made elegance seem like a whole lot of fun. Stevie Nicks, that voice. In the late 1970s, Fleetwood Mac dominated the charts and Stevie Nicks dominated Mick Jagger's thoughts. Together, they went on tour and danced in candlelit hotel bars. On the walls of the ballroom, rumors swirled like their shadows. Beyond the celebrity and flirtation, however, Jagger was drawn to her mystery and not her beauty. Her voice was heard. The child discusses what it was like to be in the 1950s, and then asks whether it was all about fashion since children seem to have a haunting Basque accent that permeates every word and every sentence. She could make even saying goodbye sound like a prophecy. He once claimed, Bouton. He didn't merely observe when she performed Gold Dust Woman live. Instead, he gave in. Eyes wide from the wings, like a guy in a trance. She imagined that Stevie had not belted. She was quiet. She had a magnetic personality. Her power came in subdued waves in a world full of flaunting stars and yelling frontmen. She didn't suddenly appear. It infiltrated your body. Stevie was something new to Jagger, whose character danced on turmoil. He was serene and in control, a storm in slow motion. However, the next woman would hit Stevie like a hammer if he floated. Tina Turner is her name. Tina erupted, not simply moved. Storm in her step, fire in her eyes. Jagger had always studied movement, showmanship, and how to light up a stage. However, Tina gave the impression that the stage was attempting to keep up. She was not an entertainer. She was a cyclone encased in muscle and sequins. She did not leave. She blew up on it. There was a thunderclap with each stomp. Each scream is a cry of fight. She conquered rather than performed. Everything about her, her voice, her presence, her body, was battle. And there was never any opportunity for the fans. She didn't merely follow the beat. She molded it to her will, redefined it, and punished it. One of the greatest performers alive, Jagger, felt himself vanish next to her when they eventually shared the stage for State of Shock in 1985. He then said that everyone who witnessed her almost blew him off it. She served as a reminder to the globe during those brief minutes that when real power grabs the mic, even legends may be overshadowed. She had muscle in her voice. There was anger in her rhythm. Her enthusiasm was unrelenting. There was sweat and rage in every note, but there was never chaos, only accuracy. The hurricane she unleashed was under her control. Tina was more than just a singer to Mick. She exemplified strength, perspiration, and soul. She didn't require tricks or lighting. The place was brightened just by her presence. She made no attempt to attract attention. She called for surrender. The voice that sounded like silk poured over a rifle, then arrived. Chrissy gave a hint. Chrissy provided both polished flair and punk edge to the pretenders. She could sound seductive even if she spat venom. It was uncommon to find someone who could sound both attractive and menacing at the same time, therefore Mick greatly loved that duality. She had no intention of pleasing anyone. She wanted you to recoil. When they first met in the early 18th century, everything in rock was either reborn or on fire. Fire was what he anticipated. Steel was what he received. Unyielding, unrepentant in speech. She was quicker, drier, and more fearless than he was. Some singers' shouts may not cut as deeply as her silences. She didn't perspire or beg on stage. She was magnetic, cold, and exact. She exuded an air of someone who didn't give a damn about your feelings for her, and you couldn't take your eyes off it. Furthermore, it wasn't a request when she sang Brass in Pocket. It was a lipstick-wrapped warning. It was more than just assurance. It was charm cloaked in control. She was one of the few vocalists who didn't aim to impress, according to Mick. She did not seek praise. She didn't have to. Her presence was commanding. She challenged the audience to keep up with her intense gaze. She frequently owned more than just the stage. She made it her own by reducing it to her level. He observed Chrissy to see what quiet control looked like. The sound of assurance, without the need to yell, that. She wasn't merely a front lady. Wearing eyeliner and leather, she was a force field. However, the final name on his list arrived with a smile and possibly a hint of pain. Smith, Patty. Poetry on fire was Patty. She did more than sing. She let out a howl. She begged. She gave a statement. In the conventional sense, she wasn't a vocalist. She was a microphone-wielding prophetess. Electric venom coursing into the veins of a preacher. She did not have a lit stage. It was in possession. In the late 17s, Jagger watched her perform for the first time at CBGB. Her hair was matted, she was barefoot, and her face was glistening with sweat like war paint. Being attractive didn't matter to her. Being truthful was important to her. She was not involved. The moment became her. Every word sounded like a dare as her voice cracked, broke and soared. Her rawness, unpredictability, and sheer instability made her transcendent. Her pitch wasn't what caught his attention the most. She was being defiant. Patty didn't amuse. She went up to him. She forced you to look her in the eye while she stood amid the confusion. Like a prayer uttered in the midst of a brawl, her music both felt holy and vulgar. Aggression and art were involved. Tenderness became inverted. She was more than just a kindred soul to Jagger, who had made a living by breaking boundaries. She served as a warning. He didn't feel like a rock star when he watched her that night. At the shrine of something greater, he felt like a pupil. And he came to a realization that evening. He wasn't the most crazy person there. She was. Legends have shared stages with MC Jagger, Mud D. Jagger. He has stared down stadiums bathed in acclaim and danced under lights that have blazed for 60 years. However, he said that neither the fastest drummer nor the loudest guitar really rocked him to his core. The women were the ones. Women who entered the rock scene without asking permission. They did not await an invitation. With their voices, they inscribed their names on its walls. Always unforgettable, sometimes gentle, sometimes brutal. They relied on no one's heritage. They constructed their own from the ground up. Scream by stillness, brick by lyric. They gave a thunderous roar. Like warnings, they murmured. They broke, soared, enchanted, and haunted. Their teeth were shown while they sang. They turned their backs on everyone who urged them to keep quiet, their hearts uncovered. Additionally, they constantly reminded him that volume is not necessary for true power. It need the truth. That excellence is more about cutting deep than hitting hard. Their voices still reverberate in his head whenever he takes the stage. Their presence lingers like smoke after a fire in every line he writes. He saw something sacred in their disorder and realized that, in a world full of monarchs, these were the queens who never needed crowns, not because he imitated them,